So welcome back to another episode, and today I want to talk about one of the best video game nights I have had in years. Honestly, in years. And I've had a lot of great times gaming on a night and all that kind of stuff. Love it. But there was one night that stood out to me in particular at the end of 2018 that I didn't talk about on purpose because it was for me. It was a night for me that I didn't plan. I didn't think it was going to turn out to be anything, and it turned out to be one of the best video game nights I've ever had. Has it ever happened to you where you guys are just sitting around and you start playing some game, you're like, I'll try this out, and you play it all night, and it is the best video game night of your entire life, and it's one of those things that you'll always look back on, and you don't even know it at the time. I remember me and Rob always used to say, let's have a video game nostalgia night. We'll get some beer and we'll get our old video game systems out and we'll relive that magic of our youth. And whenever we tried to plan it, it never kind of came off the way we wanted it to. We never, it was kind of like you're forcing it. Where when it happens naturally, it can be magical. And this night for me was magical. And let's start at the beginning, shall we? Okay, it is no surprise that my favorite video game of all time is Phantasy Star on the Sega Master System. Jeez, who doesn't know that now on the channel? Everybody knows that. I've talked about it so much. Really, too much. Potentially. So I knew that on the Nintendo Switch, they were releasing this game again. And to be honest with you, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It's a budget title. I think it's like $8.99 or something like that, $10 in Canada. I'm like, okay, it'll be kind of a novelty to get the game on the go, but I played Phantasy Star so much over the years in the past, and it's, it's kind of, I'm not knocking my favorite game of all time, but it's a game from a different time, and I'm like, well, I don't think I'll ever play it like a lot again. I don't think I'll go all the way through or do anything like that. There's no way. But you know what, I was kind of sitting around and I was like, you know what, I'll just download it. So I just downloaded it. Paid the $10 or what it was, had it. I'm like, cool, okay. And then here's where it becomes strange, it's something you don't expect. Kim was going to go visit her girlfriend for the night. They were going to hang out. She's going to spend the night over there. They were going to have a girls' night, for sure. So I had an entire Friday to myself. The entire evening, and I was like, oh geez, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna watch a movie? I don't know. It's weird when you get married and you really enjoy being with your better half. You really do. You love it. And it's kind of weird sometimes when you're like, oh, okay, well, it's just me tonight. Fine, that's cool. What am I gonna do? You kind of like, a little bit kind of you don't know quite what to do. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put on Phantasy Star, the Sega Ages version on the Switch, and I'm gonna just play it for a little bit. Now, I didn't really know about this going in. I honestly stayed away from it all. I just thought it was a port, and there was a few things that you can change in the menus. I didn't really pay too much attention. Where I start playing the game, and then I find out that you can play the game with double experience, double money, and you can speed up your character. And here's the kicker. An auto map dungeon. That's something we didn't have in the old days. We had, grid maps and we draw on there. And then we had game facts and they'd, draw them on there or whatever. And we'd go to websites to find them. That was a huge deal, auto mapping. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. Because in Phantasy Star, there's so many pit traps near the end of the game. And it's so slow and it can drive you crazy that you go, I've got to quit. I can't keep doing this. I don't have the time for this. Where also with the double money, double experience, and double, quicker movements of my character, I start playing the game and I'm like busting around. I'm fighting enemies. I'm getting double experience. I'm going up levels faster. I'm able to save up for money to buy better weapons faster than I've ever done before. And I'm just sitting there and I'm all of a sudden having a great amount of fun again. The kind of fun that I had when I first played the game. It kind of, with the speed of everything, brought it into kind of a real playability of today. And so I could really start getting through the game and start doing things. And and killing monsters, and just going up in levels, and I felt like I was getting somewhere faster, and I was like, this is great, going into dungeons, and all of a sudden, I'm finishing the first dungeon, then I'm finishing the second, and I'm getting, all the characters, and then I'm getting all the weapons, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna farm here, and I can get that weapon that usually you can't get till way later in the game. I can get now because I'm getting double the money. And all of a sudden, I'm having a great amount of fun. I'm sitting there going, this is freaking incredible. And I don't want to move. So I order a pizza, and I'm just going to tell you my pizza of choice. It is from Domino's Pizza. It is the deep dish triple pepperoni. It is amazing. It is the greatest pizza I've ever had in my life. I just absolutely love that pizza. So I ordered the pizza, and I'm playing the game. And it's one of those things where, it reminded me of being 14 years old, where I'm in the game. All I'm doing is the game. There's nothing else going on in my world. I'm just doing the game. Knock on the door. Pizza arrives. Hey, how you doing? Thanks. Oh, here's the money. Thanks. Bye. I'm eating the pizza on the couch. Just playing the game. I started at maybe 7 o'clock. And by the time I was like, I wonder what time it is. I look, it's 1:30. I'm like, what is going on? I am in the game. I am in not only a game, but my favorite game of all time. And I'm reliving it the way I did when I was 14. And I'm just having this feeling happen to me. I can't even describe it. It's weird because I played the game so many years ago in 1988. And to play it now and get that same feeling was euphoric, to say the least. And it was wonderful. It was great. And so it was getting to 1:30, then 2. I'm like, I should really kind of go to bed, and I really don't want to. I'm playing the game for so many hours, and I'm getting so far into it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to bed. Okay. And here's the great thing. I wake up in the morning, my eyes go bing, I'm wide awake, open. I'm in my robe, and I just come into the living room. I sit down, turn on the Switch, start playing the game again. Don't check my phone. I don't check any internet stuff. I usually always check the internet, see what's going on online, what's going on in the world of video games. I don't care. I'm playing this video game. This is all that matters right now. And I just got up. I couldn't believe how I got up. I was like a zombie. And I started playing the game. And I was like, I'm probably about half an hour in. I'm like, I should maybe make some tea. I never start my day without tea. I even forgot to get tea. It was just this game was on my mind. So I go make tea, start playing it. And then I get out the cold pizza. I just start eating that. That's breakfast. And I'm playing the game. And all of a sudden, I'm at the last dungeons in the game. And then, before I know it, I have finished Phantasy Star again in the end of 2018. And it was the best night into early morning of video gaming I have done, for nostalgia, capturing that feeling again, going back to a game that can sometimes feel a little slow, but experiencing it in a little faster way made it, I can't even describe it even now. It was just one thing after another, and I was seeing enemies I haven't seen in years. And I was like, my God, I remembered why this was my favorite game of all time. The music, the nostalgia, the bosses, the monsters, the weapons, the characters, the sound effects, the backgrounds, the animated backgrounds. Everything had come full circle. And I finished the game, and all of a sudden I get a text from Kim saying, oh yeah, I'll be home in 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh great, yeah, I'll see you then. And I just kind of sat there. I just turned off the game. I'd finished it, and I was like, wow. It was wonderful. And I can't say it enough. I mean, it was so great to revisit this game for me. And have you guys ever done that? Gone back and revisited a game you haven't played in a long time? I think the last time I got right to the end of the game was for the Game Boy version of it. And I've gone back and I've played quite a bit of the game to capture footage for episodes and stuff like that, but never all the way to the end, because the ending, can be a bit grueling. But the auto mapping, I knew exactly where I was. I'm like, oh, that's where that pit trap is. I ain't going there this time. And oh, that's where I was last time. That auto mapping was awesome. And if you've never played Phantasy Star, you've been curious, it's super cheap on the Nintendo Switch. And it's got all these features. And you gotta play when you're playing it, you gotta pick the Sega Ages version. That's the double experience, double everything. That's what will make the game play faster for you. And I think a lot of people have gone back to play the game. They're like, oh yeah, it's great. It's a little older though, a little slow. Where this kind of removes that and gets you to the core bits of the game that are awesome, which is the dungeons and the monsters and all of that. And you get to explore and know exactly where you are and all that. And you'll have a great time. You'll get the vehicles, you'll be exploring up the planets, and it was great. And it just took me back to my youth again. And it was an unexpected evening. And even Kim came in and I said, yeah, so I finished my favorite video game of all time. She's like, what? In the time I was gone? I said, yeah, that's all I did. And honestly, I think the game took me about 10 hours, truth to be told. And I remember back in the old Master System days, that game took me 40 plus hours, with the slowness of the game and the grinding of the game back then. And this was very accessible, and it was really fun, and it was one of the best video game evenings. And the funny thing, I was out with Victor Lucas, and I was telling him, I said, oh God, I just finished Phantasy Star. It was great. It was amazing. And he said, you should make a video about it. And I turned to him and I said, no, I said, this was for me. This was for me. This isn't for review. This isn't for anything. This is for me. And it's been a few months now, and I'm kind of away from that, and I'm like, I really want to come in and talk about it, because I thought it was a little bit of fun to have, and of a game that I finished and I never even talked about, and it's because it was for me. This is my favorite game of all time. It was a moment for me that was unexpected, and it's one of those things I'm going to think back to in another 10 years saying, oh, I remember when I got on the Switch and I finished it in a couple of sittings, and oh, eating that pizza, the cold pizza the next morning and drinking tea. It was great, and it took me back to the roots of video gaming, of what got me started and why I love this hobby so much. And I love this hobby so much. It supplied me with so many years of entertainment, even to this day, so much. And I still love video games more than anything in this world. I think they're such a great form of entertainment, and I wish more people would play them for sure. And hopefully you guys have had an evening like that for yourselves. So anyways, guys, until next time.